Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we will walk through how to publish an RPA flow to Infor RPA Management and run it from the RPA Assistant in an attended mode. While accessing the RPA Studio for the first time, you will be asked to log into a particular tenant. If you have used RPA Studio already and you do not wish to change the tenant, you will be taken directly to the home screen. From the home screen, we will open our project created in the previous video, Exploring Infor RPA Studio. This project can also be found in the Recent section. Recent contains all the projects that have been recently worked on. Any project created locally can also be opened using Open Project. Now we will set up some arguments for our RPA flow. The purpose of these arguments is to allow the flow to work with user or process-defined values. These values can be provided through the management or the RPA Assistant. In our simple flow, we have defined the variable input text, which we will now delete and define as an argument. To set up arguments, we will click on the Arguments tab at the bottom. Let's use the same name for the argument as we gave the variable. Remember, the name should be very descriptive. The direction of the argument can be set in for input arguments, out for output arguments, which don't need to be defined, in-out, which can work as an output from one activity and input to another, again, does not need to be defined by the user, and lastly, property. This sets the argument to work as a property and only takes in values and not VB expressions. Set up a data type as string, and select the default value if you'd like to use it during the test. This value will be removed once published. Now it's time to publish the project. By that we mean to send and save the RPA flow into the RPA Management multi-tenant component of Infor RPA. Once published, we can run the process in attended mode of execution from the RPA Assistant or define the job instance to run it in an unattended mode. Today we'll focus on executing the flow from the RPA Assistant. To publish a project, click on the Publish button on the ribbon at the top of the Designer screen. A window pops up, which allows us to set some relevant fields. Project name. This allows us to set the project that would be visible in RPA Management. It also updates the project name in the RPA Studio. Then there are two fields that show the current version and new version. For a new project, both will display 1.0.0. For future versions of the project, we can check the increment version. This will publish the new version without replacing the current one. Then add any description if needed. Now select Publish. A warning message asking to remove all sensitive data will be displayed. Click Yes. Now you will be notified that the process was published successfully. After publishing the project, we can see it in the Processes screen in RPA Management. First, log into Infor OS and go to RPA Management. To check the published processes, click Manage, then Processes. A list of all the processes published on Mastermind can be seen here. We will look for our process and drill down. Upon drilling down, we will go first into Add Admins and Users to set the admins and users of the published flow. Next, go to the Argument Scoping tab. Here you can see the argument that was declared in the process and its scope. We can set the scope of an argument as a user or process. Process, the value of the argument, which will be the common scope across all the users of the process and can only be set by the process's admin. And user, this value will be user-defined and should be defined by all the users of the process. Let's select this scope for our argument. Arguments have the option to be declared as secure, including fields such as passwords. To finalize a process, click on Save. To confirm, you can also view its status under Processes. Now the RPA flow can be run from the RPA Assistant. So let's launch the RPA Assistant. Refresh the process list and look for the process that was published. Now hover over the process name and click on the ellipses to see the process details, which include user parameters, the list of arguments that can be declared at the user level. Only arguments with user scope will be visible here. Let's set it as Hello World. History. This tab shows the running history of the process. It shows the details of the last 10 executions. Versions shows the details about the versions of the process. And available versions, the list of available process versions we can see. We can also update the latest version here. Now let's come back to the RPA Assistant process list and click on Run for our RPA flow. The flow is now running in the attended mode. Once it's finished, you can see the status of the running process in RPA Assistant. Hover over the process and click on the ellipses again and select Process Details. Go to the History tab and click Download Logs. The logs will be stored to your hardware and can be reviewed when needed. Thank you for watching this tutorial. For more videos, check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to get the latest content.